What is this? What is this? I feel like it's one of the Snords Irregulars, but I don't think that's the case. Like Wait, I'm trying to click the thing.
Terrible photo.
Yeah, their photos are garbage.
That's super bad.
Because everybody just takes them from
Vector brought a bunch of protocol paints with you on vacation. None of them leaked. That's what we like to hear.
No, it's not.
How's it going, Avian?
It's not part of Snords. Dadgummit. What is this? What's going on, everybody? Any perspective on priming terrain with rattle can? Sure, do it with rattle can. Do it with kills. Terrain is where you can buy the cheapest stuff ever to get most of your painting done. Go to Hobby Lobby and buy craft paint and mix a lot of craft paint and water and spray it. Or get colored, they used to make colored spray cans for artists that were recoloring flowers, and it was acrylic spray.
Oh.
You can use that. That stuff may be really expensive now, though. I don't know.
I usually go to Home Depot.
Dadgummit.
Anyone know what this mech is?
I need to know what this mech is. I don't remember what this damn thing is. It's one of the actual Catalyst minis. I thought it was a Snords Irregular because it has like the weird arm.
It's not one of the new Kickstarter models, right?
No. It has like one of the awesome like left arm. It looks like a hodgepodge Franken mech.
Someone says Regent.
Huh?
I don't know if that's a guess.
A Regent?
Regent?
I don't know. Let's see.
The new mech is the new Baby J.
It is. It's a Regent. Look at that.
Dang.
I do believe that is the case.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's it.
It's a clan mech. That's why I couldn't find it. Filthy clanners.
You were looking at Inner Sphere.
Well, it looks like an Inner Sphere mech. It definitely doesn't look like a clan design, but it's a clan assault mech. 90 tonner. All right.
Nice.
Is it a 3.5 mover? Ooh. Ooh. It better hit like a brick.
Chat wants to know if you busted up your frame this weekend.
What's that?
Do you bust up your frame?
Did you bust up the frame? No. I didn't do anything.
You playing games?
I didn't do anything up here. I played Dark Souls 2 all weekend. Yes. That's what I did. I need the... You didn't turn the compressor on, did you?
I did not.
You hate when the compressor's on.
Well, I can't read your mind. I didn't know you were going to prime something today. You primed something on Friday.
Prime every day.
You just noticed something today and had to ask, why is it finally written on the khaki label?
You tell me.
That doesn't sound normal.
You tell me.
Why is that noise happening?
Oh, there's air coming out of the hose over here.
That's not normal.
Huh?
That's not normal.
It's not?
No. That never happens.
I don't know what to tell you, Gabe.
What'd you break?
I didn't break anything. The hose just came loose.
Oh, okay. It's Monday. It's all right. I know there's a.
I don't break stuff. That's Baby J's job. He's not here. Speaking of which, I want you all to remember who loves you the most. This guy. Because Baby J had an opportunity to tell the pilots to get him home in time, and he didn't.
It's true.
He didn't. He didn't want to be here. His exact words were, "Screw chat. I don't want to be there."
Is he coming tomorrow too, or no?
Mm-mm.
No?
I bet he won't be back until Wednesday. He doesn't love you guys.
No, we could not find said airbrush nozzle piece, but there's one on the way.
He doesn't care about you guys.
So I kind of know the story of why finally is written on khaki, but that was pre-Jabe.
Only I know.
That was pre-Jabe.
And only I love you guys. Of all the Dark Souls, why 2? Xenobond, because the only thing wrong with 2 is that it isn't 3. It's one of the best Dark Souls. That'll piss people off right from the start of the show. How to not get views 101. Tell people that Dark Souls 2 is actually good. It's really good. It's a great game. It just requires you to not be a video gamer, a standard, ADD video gamer. You can't just run through Dark Souls 2 like you like to do in some of the other ones when you want to skip areas. And it does have some pretty brutal runbacks if you die. So there are some things that I catch myself saying, "Oh my god!" Like I don't like the speed of its healing and stuff, but it's just a different game. It makes you play it totally different, and that part I like. So I've made it all the way through to Drangleic Castle. That's where I'm kicking off tonight, which has one of my least favorite parts of the game.
Velvet Yoda said, "I'd like to thank Jen and the fulfillment team with another 500,000 awesomeness points for getting my order out today."
That is awesome. 500,000 awesomeness points.
Yeah.
Jen will take them. It's been a heck of a Monday.
Yeah.
It has not been a great day in the neighborhood. It's one of those everything that can go wrong will type Mondays. Lots of people calling in sick. Lots of orders needing to go out from the weekend, and the U.S. Postal Service deciding that I guess they don't need to come and pick up our orders. I don't think they came Friday.
Oh my gosh.
So it's one of those things, the joys of business ownership. Jen's in the thick of it today, so she's not producing. Hello, Gabe.
Hi. Shelby's in the thick of it as well.
Yeah, that whole team over there it's all hands on deck at the other side of the building right now. So someone a long time ago had asked, and I hope that they join in to the stream while we're doing this at some point, but had asked me to paint a Battletech miniature. And we're going to do this guy very nicely. We're going to spend some time on him. Not just going to blast through it. I painted 47 Battletech miniatures the last time we did this, and I painted them all in like 2 weeks.
Yep.
We are going to take our time on this guy.
Computer, stop making noises at us.
Weather updates.
uh,
Windows doing Windows things.
Dipolar Stream said, "So whose firstborn did you sell to get the formula or enchantments needed for your transparent paint?" Tried the brown over the weekend expecting it to behave like contrast or speed paint, and it said it behaved like paint, but it was still transparent. Magical.
It's what we do. It was meant to replace inks, because inks can be a real disaster if you're not super confident in handling paint of all types. They re-wet. They give a weird sheen. So, but they give very vibrant color. Airbrush really, really well. Easy to filter with, stuff like that. So they have a little bit of cheat code built in, but also being a complete pain in the butt. And so I was like, well, could we make a better transparent acrylic that actually was an acrylic, dries like an acrylic, acts like an acrylic, and now you have experienced it in the Pro Acryl transparent paints. If you talk to Jordan when he's around, when he decides he loves you again or wants to come in, if he ever comes back. By the way, Jordan was gone at UK Games Expo. He actually does, well, I'm not going to say he loves you guys, but they are some of the most versatile paints that we make. He uses them on literally everything he paints, and has for years.
Osobi Paints wants to know thoughts on War Machine being sold to Steam Forged Games.
Interesting thing, right? I
happen?
actually had knowledge of this before it happened.
Oh, okay.
Last week, I was speaking to someone who will remain unnamed because I don't know if they get in trouble. Who was contacting me, asking me if we needed to hire anybody with his particular skill set. And I was like, why? And I got the lowdown. Interesting. I feel like, in all honesty, the team that runs, well, I say the team, right? Matt, I think is his name, that owns Privateer Press with his wife. I feel like they probably want to cash out of their big thing and be freed to not have all that expense of having to make War Machine, to be able to go do other endeavors, other business endeavors, other personal endeavors, who knows? That's what it seems like. Why else would you sell that property? They didn't sell the whole company, is what they're saying. They only sold the IP to War Machine and the Iron Kingdoms and P3 Paints. So for Steam Forged, those guys have had some ups and downs with Guild Ball and all that, but they are, at their root, came out of that War Machine community when they made Guild Ball. And so I think that's cool, that the War Machine property in general sounds like it'll be in the hands of someone who appreciates it. There's, a long storied history with Steam Forged and their stuff. So hopefully they can do the IP justice, and it's just starting to make a comeback with Mark IV, but maybe that wasn't financially expedient enough for the needs of Privateer Press. I don't know. I don't sit in those meetings, so I can only speculate. But as a business owner, I would say that there are a number of reasons why you would sell your most formidable and profitable IP. Or it might not be their most profitable IP now, but in the past it obviously has been. Remember that War Machine, for those of you maybe newer in the hobby, was neck and neck 1 and 2 with Games Workshop for a number of years for largest, miniature war game. That kind of then took a back seat with the advent of X-Wing. X-Wing started being classified as a miniature war game. Fantasy Flight came on the scene. Then Games Workshop really started blowing up again. So, all that jostling kind of went away, and War Machine and Privateer Press kind of got a little more obscure. But they've started back with Mark IV and streamlined the SKU count for the game. I know that pissed a lot of people off, somewhat me, because a lot of the armies that we had are no longer supported in a frontline mechanism. They have some rules for playing in friendly games, but maybe not tournament play for armies that people had invested in. But as a company, we talked for years about that being the thing that they needed to do. They had way too many models. Stores couldn't carry all the right stuff. How would you even know what to carry? So that kind of bloat can be harmful, right? Because you get to a point where it's like, well, why would a store invest in more if I already got all this unsellable stuff? We'll see. X-Ray, that's a good way to put it, but I think that's like all companies in the gaming space, right? When they are doing well. I think they've moved over to more IP-based stuff, making board games, RPGs. I don't know if they do any RPGs, but it seems like, they did Dark Souls stuff. I think Bloodborne is Simon, right?
Yeah.
But they did the Dark Souls stuff. They still have some Guild Ball, but I think they're doing all the models in like a freebie way, and the free download rules and stuff like that. I think you can still buy the 2-player starter set. So it's interesting how they're moving along in that realm. But they've done well off their Kickstarter, so hopefully they've got the funding and ability to do it. I wish them all the best. Privateer Press, when AMG started, a lot of the I would say the core game development team went to Atomic Mass and do Marvel Crisis Protocol, and obviously Star Wars Shatterpoint. Star Wars picked up Star Wars Legion, X-Wing, Armada, all of the stuff that Fantasy Flight had been doing in the miniature space as well. So that was a big chunk of internal team. So we'll see. Guild Ball is beautiful. Well, they also do God Tier, which I really like. But it's in an odd place where I don't know how those games that are in that space really survive, because they aren't really war games as such, but they're marketed to a war game crowd, and war games, I think, are all built around you and your buddies getting together, putting armies against armies, rolling dice and blowing stuff up.
Yep.
And when you take that out of it and you get to more video game style board games, is what I will call those. They're more like it's like playing an ARAM style League of Legends type game, MOBAs. The idea, the concept is really great. I was really on that bandwagon hoping somebody could come out with a really good one. And then when you see the implementation, it's just made for like the board game crowd, but with such a focus on miniatures that I think it straddles a line that's really hard. I think it is so much a niche within a niche within a niche. Whereas Guild Ball, even though it's skirmish size, is more of a war game, even though it's wrapped up in a sporting package. Same like Blood Bowl. Very similar. You guys played Blood Bowl at lunch, right?
No.
Okay.
No. Ruben and Kyle did.
Oh, Ruben and Kyle were playing Blood Bowl. But I love the Guild Ball minis are great. I love the teams they had. I painted up a set of the Mortician. I want to say they were the Morticians. I don't remember what they were called. They had like the bone saws, and they look like the Addams Family kind of. It was a lot of fun. With the brewers and the fishermen and all that stuff. It's some neat stuff in the Guild Ball deal. It was kind of like Gangs of New York style, war game. So it was a lot of fun. What's happening, everybody? All right, but we're goofing, chit chatting, letting some primer dry.
What colors are you gonna use?
I don't know. What do we think?
Color scheme.
It's a filthy clan mech.
Yeah.
So, I guess I should have brought that back up. Like, what clan is it tied into? And then let's go look at some color schemes. Let's give it the justice so that the BattleTech rivet counters don't get mad at me. Right.
If anyone in chat knows what clan it's a part of.
Regent Assault Mech. Well, it'll tell us like who made it.
Estrella says Ghost Bear.
Is it Ghost Bears?
I don't know if that's an
because that's what I was thinking. I'd paint it like as in Clan Ghost Bear colors, but I would paint a Kodiak if I were gonna paint Clan Ghost Bear. I think. Coventry Metalworks. It's the flagship design of the Ilkhanate's Project Reynard. Yada yada yada. Oh yeah. That's why it has some things of the awesome. It was done by Technicron Manufacturing, who did the awesome. So it has like the awesome left arm. It's an Omni
the same
Mech
person
with its
who
Omnipods.
The same person who correctly named it. The person who correctly named it says Grey Death Legion, famous for using this mech.
Where are you seeing this?
In chat.
Oh, in chat.
Mercs.
Grey Death. Oh, is it seriously? Well, let's see. Weapons and equipment, alternate configurations. Notable pilots. Notable Regent pilots. I thought that Sarna would tell me, right?
Usually
like,
it
who
does.
ran it?
Yeah.
They usually do, right?
Yep.
How come they're not? Got 3 ER large lasers. That makes it a freaking beast in its own right. Has an LB20. Holy crap, this thing's a beast. 2 medium pulse lasers. And a Streak SRM4. And case on everything. Not bad. Oh, here's one that had 3 ER PPCs.
Oof.
Hello. Ultra AC20, 2 ER PPCs. This thing's a beast. Too bad I don't play filthy clan mechs. Well,
you can see with the notable pilots where they're from.
Yeah, I guess so.
Stupid ads.
I click the X. I choose X. Notable Regent pilots. What the?
The Discord invite?
Leonard Goodnight. That is a tremendous porn name. Leo Goodnight. Federated Sons. Really?
The Pope.
He was the
Avalon
Pope
Catholic Church.
for the New Avalon Catholic Church. First Avalon Hussars.
Bright Gold Regent.
Bright Gold? We are not doing that. That guy's too famous. He's literally a pope. I am not painting the Pope mobile.
Title is Grand Master.
Yeah, I am not painting the Pope mobile. Regent miniature from Grey Death Legion. Oh, that's what it came from, was the Grey Death Legion. All right, well, let's look at Grey Death stuff. That's the box set it came in.
Gotcha.
Was the Grey Death. So let's look at Grey Death Legion. With Grayson Carlisle? Is that his name? Grayson Carlisle?
I don't know. You're hitting lore that I don't. I know.
Is Grayson
Carlisle?
Carlisle? Grey Death Legion? I don't remember.
I know very small amounts.
Actually, you don't get that. Speaking of which, when is that video ready? Christopher! All right, Grey Death Legion is like dark gray camos, right? Red, yeah, the red skull and lots of dark gray camo. What a boring color scheme. Why did I pick this guy?
You could do something different, though. You don't have to do Grey Death.
I mean, there's some okay stuff we can do with like the red like this. I think that was Grayson's Shadowhawk right there.
Kind of cool.
Maybe we can do some fun stuff.
Christopher, plaid was mentioned, and then you got yelled at.
Are we doing Grey Death Legion, chat? Is that what we're doing? Is that what chat wants?
It is very dark.
It's like very monochrome.
Yeah.
Right?
Very bland.
But mechs are tough anyway because of the scale they're at, so it'd be a good challenge. So let's just let's pick a photo like that one from MechWarrior Online, and we'll just save that picture to photos here. Pictures, save.
A picture.
Bam. All right. We can do some fun stuff with it.
Avian says we were doing something awesome, Slowfuse. How awesome is dependent on you.
No Pope Mobile? No, I'm not doing shiny gold freaking Regent. Heck no. Hot pink Legion? Mo? I swear to God. I swear to the Pope.
You could also look at Unit Color Compendium for ideas if you wanted.
Yeah, but it came in the Grey Death box, so if we're going to do it Grey Death, they really didn't have a whole lot going for them. They were gray and black. They kind of are very iconic in that way, so. When somebody said it was Grey Death, that's why I scooted right over that real quick. Like, okay, well, I won't be doing that. And then we're doing it anyway. That's fine. I'm going to need some reds for sure. I'm trying to put stuff back here for a minute. Hang on. Give me a little bit here. Dark hot pink I don't need.
You could also just do bright colors. That'd be fun.
Red, gray. I mean, we'll do something fun. It'll be fine. It'll be fine, chat. It'll be fine. We're going to do some very, very vibrant colors like dark neutral gray, neutral gray, and of course the most vibrant of them all, bright neutral gray. We're gonna do that for you, chat. That'll be pretty good, right?
We could throw a color in there as a challenge. You have to figure out where to put it.
I don't need help from you over there.
What do you think, chat?
I don't need any help from the peanut gallery over there, Gabe.
Someone said you should use khaki. Paintlicker said use Payne's Gray. Captain Merring says, I assume Baby J is back safe in the U.S. I don't know if he's landed yet. Has he landed already? I haven't gotten any message from him.
What's that?
If Jordan's landed yet.
Yeah, he was in Dallas.
Okay, so he's in the
about
US.
30 minutes ago.
I got to go through all of your guys' submissions to put into the slideshow. It's very impressive.
Oh, for the alpaca lipstick?
Alpaca lipstick. Yeah, it's very good. There's some really cool ones.
Did I already use up all? I thought I put a lot more paint than that in there. Am I being stingy? What's going on, chat?
You should just
Sometimes it's hard to tell when going straight out of the bottle because it looks like a drop, but it's just an air bubble.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Does we know the new challenge yet?
Nope. I lied to you. I said I'd think of one over the weekend. I didn't even think about it.
Well, it's June.
We can think of one today. What do you want to do?
It's June. It's summertime.
Let's come up with it right now, chat. Just you and me. Jordan's not here.
Okay, I guess I'm not here either.
Gabe's here.
No, that's not what you said?
Huh?
That's not what you said?
I said Jordan's not here.
Yeah, you said it's just you and me, chat. That's what you said.
There you go.
You said
just you and me, chat.
And then said Jordan's
Gabe's
not
too
here,
literal.
and I'm not here.
All right, Grey Death Legion, done. Next. I got to put a red stripe on his head, then we're done. Paint the windshield.
Yahoo!
Done.
That was an easy project.
Huh?
That was an easy project.
I'll dry brush some highlights on him. Done. Grey Death Legion. If you want to get into a game quickly, buy the Battletech starter kit. Run the Grey Death Legion. Buy dark neutral gray, bright neutral gray, bold pyro red. There you go. Anybody ever asked you what's the most economic way to get into wargaming? I just told you.
Simon Mayer, hopefully I pronounced that right, says, you guys are awesome. Been in the hobby for just 18 months, and I'm really loving my Pro Acryl paints. I was hesitant to use them at first because I didn't want to waste them. Now they're my go-to.
Awesome. Simon, thank you. Thank you. That's awesome. He says, can't confirm Gabe's invisible.
Yeah.
Gabe is not invisible. Have you heard this guy? He will show up in your doorway, I don't know, once an hour?
Yep.
Sometimes it feels like Gabe runs the company, and I just do his bidding.
No.
He shows up at my door and he goes, couple things.
Yeah. I have to let you know how many things I'm going to ask you.
This is true.
I have to get you mentally prepared.
Today he came in and I gave him a random number of answers, and I think I gave him almost the right number of answers.
You gave me the exact right number of answers.
He had a piece of paper with a bunch of stuff written on it that he didn't show me.
Yeah.
And so when he came in, he sat down and I go, okay, yes, maybe, no, like only every other Tuesday, you know. Yep. I gave him like a bunch of answers, and he was just reading along, checking off his list, and he goes, that was disturbingly accurate.
Yep. It was the answers didn't end up being right, but the answers that he gave were so close to what they should have been. In the realm of a yes or no answer, a how often answer. So, yeah, it's funny.
Alamo greeting from South Texas, where it's too hot to be outside. Wait a minute. We're in Arizona, so we're right there with you.
Yep.
It's getting to that point of the year where going outside is not all it's cracked up to be. I don't know why people do it, We have people in this state that like go rock climbing during the summer. They're crazy. All right, neutral gray because we want to spice it up a bit.
Look at the vibrancy.
For the neutral gray, we want to make sure we continue to do, this is like zenithal highlighting, right? Is that we're doing in gray. We want to make sure we don't tilt the model too much so that we just get the brightness on the upper facing stuff. So we're already starting to create some contrast, like down here on the shin. All these panels that angle down towards the ground, we don't want to hit with the brighter color. So all the same techniques you use when doing a zenithal prime come into play for this standard painting.
Paint Liquor said it's been a while since we had a limited palette challenge.
Okay. I like limited palette challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to do random? Do we want to do like a grab 4? You want to just pick 4 colors today, chat? Is that what we're doing?
So limited as in you can only use those colors? Or
yep.
what about you?
Well, and black and white.
Okay, what about
we always pull or say some colors, and then you also get black and white.
What if, have you done one where you pick colors, but they just have to be used? You can use any other color, but you just have to at least use these colors? Or does that make any sense?
No, that's just hard to follow.
Okay.
You got to do it because they're not here. You got to do it with like a real...
Right.
You can only use these plus black and white.
Should I pull up a number randomizer? We literally.
We're just gonna do it. We're gonna let the AI. June is the month of AI makes all of our decisions for us. There you go. Gabe's gonna get a random number generator, and we're just gonna use the color from 1 to.
So here's what we'll do. We'll do 1 to 75, right,
okay,
for the main colors. Then we'll slap on. The signatures will go after that. So that would be 42, right?
Yep.
So then we're looking at...
We have 126 colors.
126 colors total.
But I would back out the fluorescence.
Okay. And the washes.
Maybe the transparents. Because they're colors that are represented in other things. They're just a type. So any of the effects. So fluorescence, transparents, and washes.
Okay.
So that's 9, 15, 18 colors. So 126 minus 18 is 108.
Well, here, we'll do this. If it rolls a transparent, I'll just re-roll it, because it makes it easier for us to figure out what number we're looking at.
Oh, that's right, because they're in the middle of the skew is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
No washes, no fluorescence, right?
No washes, no fluorescence. So
117 colors. With the transparents, but if we roll transparents, we'll re-roll it. All right.
You doing it?
Yeah. Chat, you ready for paint number 1?
Chat, here we go.
All right.
Plus black and white. So if he rolls white and black, they don't count.
Great. All right.
Go for it.
First
color
one.
number 1.
110.
That is minus 75 is 35. S35.
Yep. S35, which is part of, I think that's Luis's set. I believe that is dark turquoise, or it's bright green.
Is it dark turquoise?
No,
I don't have all these. Jen
might be
needs to be in
ultramarine.
here.
I think
She's
it's
the one that has all
ultramarine.
that stuff memorized.
I think it's ultramarine. I think 35 is ultramarine.
S35 is ultramarine?
I think so.
Why don't I have...
We have a pamphlet that has all this on
front
here.
of me.
Chris, Shelby says it's ultramarine. Shelby, can
Yeah,
you?
34 is turquoise.
Shelby says ultramarine.
S35,
Booyah.
ultramarine. Boom. Color number 1. That's
Awesome.
a great one.
All right. Color number 2.
And realize you
4.
can use whatever manufacturer you have of a similar color, but realize it needs to be very, very similar. So ultramarine can't just be like a cyan. It's got to be an ultramarine, a little bit of purplish tone to it.
Next roll is 4.
Well, 4 is easy because that's red, green.
Green. Ooh, I like this. I like this already.
You wanted bright.
Yeah, I did. All right. Next one. 36. Is that a transparent? Or is that a metallic?
That's a metallic. Oh no. That might be dark blue or dark purple.
Oh.
No, it's whatever comes right after those. Between those and yellow ochre, what's in there? Dark camo green?
Dark camo green says Punisher.
No. Oh, maybe. I just picked up camo green. What is dark camo green? That's what I thought.
Shelby says yes. Dark camo green.
Is it dark camo green?
Nice.
Hang on.
This is a good
I
palette,
gotta
guys.
find these. I'm gonna kill him when he gets back. Where the heck are all my colors?
36, yes, Punisher, 36. He's just looking for it, but he can't find it.
36, dark camo green. So
Nice.
green, dark camo green, and ultramarine.
Jason,
How many colors are we doing?
4? We can do 4.
Okay.
So one more?
Yep.
All right. Game delay wants something red. Let's see.
It's not how AI works.
87.
That's S12.
Yeah, S12.
So the last one in John's series. Red gray? Yeah.
Is it red?
Yeah.
Red gray? That's a fun.
Ooh boy. All right.
That's pretty cool. I like that set.
Can we... Let me think.
With 1 and 2?
I kind of want to re-roll the dark camo
Okay,
because we already have a green.
great.
So let's give him another hue.
Okay, getting rid of 36. 109.
That's 34.
S34,
S34.
which is blue. That's
That's another one of
Luis. Dark turquoise, I think.
that. I think we said that was dark turquoise, right?
Yep.
S34.
We want to do a different one?
Yeah, I mean we already have a blue
Yeah, let's do another one.
and a green. I'm just gonna pick.
I rolled 65. What's that one?
Uh,
That might be a good one.
expansion set 3. Right before bright jade.
Faded green.
Plum.
Oh, yellow green is what Schlubby says.
Is it yellow green? What did you say?
Yellow green.
65? Ah! It is.
That's a good one.
So I'm going to kick out green
Okay.
and put in yellow green in its place. That works. Because that gives us something a little more yellowy. I like these. That's a gross color palette.
It is. That's pretty gross.
And then I'm going to add in burnt orange.
Burnt orange.
So there you go.
All right.
You have a blue.
What number is burnt orange?
It is 37.
Great.
There you go. And then you get white and black. You can use satin black or coal black. I don't care. Dealer's choice on those. You get white, black, ultramarine, yellow, green, red, gray, and burnt orange.
X-Ray right before you put it down said, fork it, just run a burnt orange. And then you did.
There you go.
You knew.
Yeah, I don't like the randomizers.
Mike GS, can we use transparent black and or white?
Yeah, you can use whatever white and blacks you like. Okay?
That is not included.
You can use transparent white, transparent black, satin black, coal black, heavy body titanium white, regular bold titanium white, any of the whites and blacks. So you basically have, they're all just the same hue, white, black. You can't use shifts in hue, right? So you can't use blue, black, right? It's just black and white. That's it. Those are your mixers, so that'll tint, tone, and shade all of your colors here. So you've got a blue, you've got a yellowish base, even though that's going to be really hard to use as a pure yellow, but it'll still give you yellowish. A red-gray that'll act as a really good kind of mid-tone tint, and then a good reddish, but no primaries, right? So like this isn't CMY, but good luck with it, right? There you go. Boom. You got those written down?
Yep, I've got them down. I think Ghost Hunter put them in Discord too.
Cool.
Yeah, nice. It's been a while since we've done one of these. When was the last one? I think it was. Honestly, I wonder if it was when I had just started.
Could be.
Might have been August, September. Actually, the only one you don't have is Ultramarine. Can you sub for that one? Yeah, it just has to be that kind of blue, that same blue color. It can't be turquoise or. Yeah. Nutrimentia, you did just miss semi-random. It was mostly random. November 2023? Okay, I was off.
Yeah, it was random.
Yeah. Oh, Jason painted a dwarf for the challenge.
Oh, that's right. It was this guy.
Yeah. You switched out a color, though, didn't you?
Yellow ochre?
I think you may have switched out like a khaki or something with yellow ochre.
I think I put in yellow ochre and got rid of khaki.
Can't remember. I remember you're like, I don't like that yellow. I'm using this yellow.
I cheat a lot. I cheat a lot on those. Am I right?
Teen Tiny Victory says, I don't have burnt orange, but I do have orange red and burnt red. Yeah. You might be able to mix those two. Get a burnt orange color.
If you have burnt sienna, you can use a little bit of white in it. Something like that. So that's your color base. So those are the colors we have to be able to see. If you mix to get those colors, that's fine. But those are the only colors we can see on the model, or mixes of those colors to make something else. So if you don't have yellow-green and you want to mix yellow and green to get yellow-green, that's fine. But I can't see yellow and I can't see true green on the model because you can't get backwards from those mixes out of any of the colors that we've got. So just be careful in how you do that. You have to work outward from those four colors into mixes that those four colors would make. So if you're mixing colors to get to one of those, that's fine. You can do that because we don't want to lock you in if you don't have our colors. That's fine. But you can only mix forward from that. You can't go backwards into their constituent parts. Make sense?
Yeah, Faded Ultramarine, you could technically get there from Ultramarine with a little bit of white, right, to get Faded Ultramarine, or is that very different than regular Ultramarine?
No, Faded Ultramarine you can't.
Okay.
You can't get back to Ultramarine from that. Your best bet would be to use just a blue, if you have it. I'll allow that on that one.
Nutrimentia, if you haven't already placed your order, you can add it in the comments. Otherwise, if Schlubby, you're still lurking in chat, you could probably message her on Discord and she can help you out there.
So if you use those exact paints, any mix of said paints would not knock it out of the challenge? No. But I can generally tell, so don't try to pull one over on me. I mean, shame on you if you do.
Schlubby, Nutrimentia wants to request some Don't Eat the Paint stickers in the recent order.
I'm just mixing up some thin, bright neutral gray, so that it doesn't have such a huge high impact on this. Is not what I'm trying to do. So I may put a little bit of neutral gray in here with it.
Teen Tiny Victories, mixing Luis's bismuth yellow and bright green will give you not exactly yellow green, but that's a good place to start if you have those two colors. It might be more muted than that, but if you don't have
it's close enough.
Colors, you'll be fine.
It's close enough. You see the palette. That's really all we're trying for, right? Is to get that palette, turn it into something cool that you can use. I'll know that palette show up on your model, right? It'll have a blue, an ochre green, or a green oxide kind of color is that yellow green. The red gray, so none of them are neutral colors. You could pull them into neutrality with the white and the black.
Yeah, and if anyone in chat is curious on what just happened, we do a challenge every month in our Discord where you can paint a model. Sometimes it's theme based. This month will be a limited palette challenge. So the colors that we just pulled, you can that's your limited palette for the challenge. We'll have that channel up in our Discord here probably at the end of today or tomorrow morning. I'll throw a link up in chat to our Discord if you're not already on there. And we have fun. Well, we will have our I think our review for May is on Thursday. Sapo woohoo package just delivered. Sable 3 and some more PA deliciousness. Nice.
When I'm starting like this, I generally don't try to assume what color things are going to be, because obviously things on the guns and all will be different colors. I just treat the model as if it's a big brick, especially with Battletech.
Velvet Yoda asked, have you done any of the WizKids Transformers models?
No.
I didn't know they did models you could paint.
I think they do it's like the He-Man game, right?
Oh, okay.
They do the same, but with Transformers.
T-Tie Victories might use one of the chibis you picked up at UK Games Expo. Nice. Hopefully that was fun. Jordan's just getting back from there. Chuck said, in today's episode of Adventures in Machine Shops, Season 2, we learned that upper management is cool with you skipping your lunch so you can leave early to make it to your D&D game in time. That's awesome. Ryan Wallace, maybe you'll use something from Hero Quest. Christopher was very excited this morning. He was very stoked because he got a notification that they are coming out with another expansion for Hero Quest. Some more heroes. He was very, very excited. No, it's funny. This month's challenge is something you're already doing. I'm painting a whole skirmish team using the Zorn palette and silver. So far, it's been pretty fun. Nice.
Never been a fan of the Zorn. The lack of blue annoys me.
What is Zorn?
Huh?
What is Zorn?
Just a guy.
Oh.
Who could afford blue.
Nice. Cool. Is he like a canvas artist? Is he a miniature artist? Or
no, he was a classic artist way back. I don't remember dates. I don't care about classically trained artists much. But he's that palette dates way back. One of those that people are like, find a challenge, and it is, because you don't have a blue. It's very warm and deep shades, so vibrancy is tough to get in it. But non-metallic gold would be super easy.
Black, red, yellow, ochre, and white.
I'm setting up some light, just obviously on the leg kicking out there. Easy stuff.
Captain Merring says, I met my boss in person for the first time at UK Games Expo on Sunday. That's fun. Nutrimentia, serious question. I'm about to move overseas and will have professional, in quotes, movers pack my house. They assure me that they can pack my painted miniature safely, but if something breaks, what's a reasonable price to claim? They're all 75 millimeters or bigger, so I was thinking $250 as a replacement cost for model and painting.
I mean, it's always replacement cost for me. Right? That's usually all they'll go for anyway. Because, I mean, they all have insurance. And once it gets down to it, they're going to turn it over to their insurance if they bust a bunch of stuff. But I always pack my own minis.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I don't know what your situation is, but if you're having people pack the rest of the place, I would at least pack my minis.
All right, that's a pretty good gray. You're not allowed to pack anything? Where do you live?
They will repack it if you do. What?
I find that hard to believe. I've had companies that were like, we only will use one box because we load our truck a certain way, and they will give you the boxes.
Government regulations.
Oh, government regs. Gotcha. I was going to say, unless you're doing government stuff. Dang. Because they, obviously, if you're going overseas for the government, they don't allow any of the boxes to not be handled by agents that can vouch that you didn't take anything unwarranted.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean,
then
maybe you could
wing and a prayer, Nutra.
Maybe then you could throw the painting in there.
Yeah, have them call me and I'll tell them how much it takes to paint a model.
You'll just have to show them the 2 weeks worth of a stream where they're painting one model.
James Matthias, that's awesome. Yeah, our primer, we wanted to make sure you could brush it on. It was not formulated to be a specific brush-on primer. We are working on a specific brush-on primer, believe it or not. Something I have not shown on stream yet, but that is something that I'm hoping hits late this year. For other reasons, like mainly for beginners and such.
Models cost $60 to $200. I'm not really commission quality painter, but I put in a lot of time. Yeah.
I mean, Nutra, it's what your time is worth, right? I always got back. I had one move where the movers had quite a few problems, not maliciously, but I moved from New York to California, so it was a big move. Took a lot of time. My stuff was on a truck for way too long because they had, like mine was a third of the truck, one of those big, 44-foot long trailers. Mine was probably a third, which was a lot of crap, but they had other people they had to move. Yep. There was a car in there. There was all sorts of crazy stuff. Not mine, but somebody else's. And, so at the end of the day, it was a lot better than it could have been. But when they started arguing with me about stuff that had taken personal time and I was giving them billable hours back, I was like, let's be fair. Let's just charge your hourly rate then back to them. And that shut them up real quick because their hourly rate on the move was ridiculous. It was like $150 an hour. And so I was like, there you go.
Yeah.
Xenophonetic, why would you need a different formula for brush on? Think about it. I'll wait. Think about it. Think about it. The current primers are too thin, right? They will brush on, but that first layer of brush on primer is more like a very milky layer. It doesn't give good, it gives good adhesion, but it doesn't give good coverage. So what we want to do is formulate one that's intended for that good coverage with the brush, so you're not doing like 3-4 brush coats. With an airbrush, it's formulated to do what you've seen me do here with the black coat if you were tuning in at the beginning of the stream, which is like three quick passes with the black primer, and it works great. But the airbrush gets all the nooks and crannies much easier and faster than a brush does. So when you're doing 3 or 4 coats with a brush, it gets real tedious. So I'd like to be able to have a brush on primer that's 1 plus a touch-up coat with brush. That's our goal. Yeah, Nutra, I just always say, what's your billable hourly? Because that's what I'll charge you for whatever you've destroyed of mine that takes my time. Because then if they go low on their billable hours, then you just adjust what you pay them. right? it's the I gotcha. How about the chrome gold that you saw? Like all of these? Yeah, these are still being worked on. They're still a little right now. They're still a little grittier on some of the colors than I like. I say grittier. They just have that bigger texture in the metal than I like. But I mean, you wouldn't find a metallic paint out there that does that in one coat like these. I think this was 2 coats, right? So yeah, so we're working very hard on these. That copper. Whew. Yeah, so those are coming. We have so many releases coming, so you'll find
Yeah.
you'll find that we're having to choose how to stagger them because we can't just come out with all of it at once. It really hurts the ability for people to realize there's new stuff. So Nutra, you're moving to Asia and won't be joining any streams once you move. What?
Forever?
You're not allowed. You're not allowed. We won't allow it.
Forever or for just a small time?
You're not allowed.
What do you recommend to wash a mini with before priming? Just some dish soap?
I don't know. No soap. No soap. Let me say it again. No soap. Resins, plastics, and metals, which are basically all of the models that you'll be painting will be one of those, are extremely porous. And if you use soap, that soap will soak into that material, whether you like it or not. No matter how much you rinse it, you won't get it all out. And then as soon as you prime it, you'll have the soap off gassing and you'll lose the contact between the prime layer and the model eventually in certain locations, like deep crevices, or all over the whole model. Never use soap to clean your models. I don't care if you got a dirty garage resin kit that still has white powder mold release on it. Hot water is all you ever need. Hot water and a fingernail brush, like those soft fingernail brushes that you use. Get one of those, hot water in the tap, clean it off, you're done. You're done.
NutriMentor said, what about marble?
Well, then you need to charge your moving company a lot more for them when they bust them. Getcha. Getcha. Got him. To see how well this color is going to stack up as an edge. This is the same color we just airbrushed with. I try to get as much mileage out of a color that I make as possible. And so if I can get it to work as a follow-up liner, it should be more concentrated off the brush. Give me a little bit more brightness, but we'll see how it dries.
Dang it, Jason, you're making me want to paint my mechs. I'm jumping around to so many different projects. Gosh dang.
I mean, I have 47.
47 projects?
No, 47 mechs.
Oh.
So you can always just grab what you need to play.
Yeah. I know.
Except you like mechs that I don't.
No. I think you've painted most of the ones that... Because I use all Inner Sphere.
Yeah, but don't you have like 2 or 3 of the same mech?
That was just for fun.
Oh, okay.
That was more just because I had bought the mystery boxes and I was just painting whatever came in the mystery boxes. And I had pulled 2 blackjacks, so I ran 2 blackjacks.
I like the blackjack and MWO. I do not like it on the table.
Yeah.
It's funny how so many of the mechs are not great in one versus the other.
Using Noosh on my GW Cities of Death bases, and it's so good. It is the best. Noosh is awesome. It's so good for stuff like that.
Give me a nice subtle edge. I don't know if it'll survive the wash. I bet it will a little bit. We'll keep going with it. I may not do the wash if I continue like this, so we'll see.
Okay, T-Schmidt, I know what to ask and what not to ask. It's like asking a woman how old they are. You just don't ask those questions. You just leave them be.
What question?
How many models have you started but haven't finished?
How many models have I started but not finished?
Yeah.
All of them?
I feel like that's a question that to a painter you just,
I don't know. It's been a joke for so long on this stream that I don't even doesn't affect me anymore. You know, when you use the bulk of your painting for educational purposes, right? Like you might find people who do educational painting streams, but if they're doing it at a high level, I guarantee you they're also selling that model to somebody, right? That model is also part of their, career and all that. Since we don't do that here, I don't seek to finish a lot of models because like on this guy, if what I was teaching you was to lay down base coats and, get a good head start on your mech, then we'd be done here pretty soon and I wouldn't need to do the rest because I don't need the model for anything.
I feel like you've, at least lately, you've finished a lot of models.
Well, yeah, but like we did this guy just to show off Noosh. That's one of the last mechs when we were just doing Noosh and kicking that off.
You did that.
We have a lot of things where I will paint them to a particular level. I finished Noosh wrong because it was fills, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like just looking around the table, here's this guy that was how to use glazed wash medium to turn a Pro Acryl into contrast paints, right? And get much better contrast paints. I did finish the Marvel Chibi Captain America.
You finished Heine?
Finished Heine.
Percival
is sort of done. I need to do his pile of bodies.
But he's done.
I need to do his pile of bodies, right?
What was the model you were working on? Ustron, and then what were you painting last week?
Well, I mean, I did this, which is...
Yeah, that's done.
That had to be. That's for a customer. The brush holder.
Yeah, you've been finishing a lot more models lately.
Yeah. Well, and I did the box art for the Warrior. I've been working on the Chrome. But whether or not they get finished is kind of irrelevant. Unless they have a specific purpose, I don't really care. Or Baby J, how many models he's reprimed.
Someone asked when a restock of Go Bags.
Sometime mid this month. So pretty soon. We'll have better info as the month goes along. We were shooting for mid-June, but we haven't gotten a shipment update, so it could be sooner or later. I know that's not a really committing to the answer there, but...
Paintlicker said, never ask a man his salary, a woman her age, or Baby J how many models he's reprimed.
Yeah.
The thing is that Baby J has no shame in it.
Yeah, he owns it.
We feel the pain for him, but he feels no pain.
He's soulless.
Yeah, it's crazy. Were you here when he was about to reprime his Lord of the Rings troll?
Yeah, I told him he was fired.
Oh my goodness. Crazy man.
I don't know how he thinks this is the kind of office where you can just do what you want. You don't get to just reprime your whole model collection when you want to.
Yeah, no. Crazy. T-Schmidt, you feel like you're entering a new phase as an artist. You call it your acquisitional phase?
As miniature hobbyists, we go through this, get more stuff, paint what we have quite often. So I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, I'm in a similar... Lots of models. G. Smith, paint what we have. You're crazy.
You don't need that kind of negativity around here.
Shelby, your stack of models is laughable.
As to how small it is.
Yep. You gotta keep adding to that pile. Keep just unashamedly. Just throw stuff on the pile. There's pride and shame that comes with your pile of shame. Because it is a pile of opportunity.
Only if you ever sit down and actually paint.
No, not you. Do it, Shelby. Do it. And like I remember when I had 20 unpainted models, it's easily close to 200 now. Oof, I have a big old box of Old World that's sitting very unbuilt, very unpainted.
I feel like if we walk around this office, we find everything that I have, that I'd be better off renting a space and opening a store for a month or two or a year to get it all sold than to actually think I could paint any of it.
Yeah.
Everything is always bought with the best of intentions as a miniature painter. We see it, we fall in love with it, we think we're going to actually paint it someday.
So we have a question. How, they said this is a dumb, envious question, which is not dumb. How to so easily paint with the tip of your brush without mucking up all around it?
How?
Like how to make it so the tip doesn't
it's a great question actually, and one that is not super easy to answer with like what I would call a silver bullet answer, because what happens is, number one, you need a brush with a good tip, right? Number two, you need to have a confidence for controlling the tip, and you also need a good brush for delivering paint. And what I mean by that is that a cheap synthetic brush, which, like, if you go and you buy brushes by the dozen or whatever, right? Not only will they not have the tip last as long, but their ability to release paint consistently when you press on them. So the whole way, so you see this guy has a little bit of a hook at the end, right? But I can rotate it to get rid of the hooks. That's not an issue. But if the brush itself, when I use a very light press, because I'm only at the tip of the brush right now, if when I press like that, it doesn't deliver out. Think of a bad ballpoint pen, or a bad pen.
Yeah.
Ballpoint might not be the right idea, but where you try to write with it and it doesn't come out until you press real hard and then the ink starts coming out. A bad brush is very similar to that. I won't say a bad, just cheap. They'll still do the job, right? But if you're looking to do delicate work, you need to make sure that that brush will deliver a good amount of paint without having to press too hard when working just with a tip. And you'll notice, like with our brush, this guy keeps delivering paint for quite a bit of time. And believe it or not, this brush that I'm using right here is a lower quality version of our Pro Synthetic. This is a brush that we're looking to bring on as a starter style brush at a lower price. And so you can imagine, right? It doesn't have the same longevity that the Pro Synthetics do, but it has all the same functionality.
Mike asked, how do you fix a tip curl that a Monument synthetic brush may have developed?
What's that?
How do you fix the tip curl?
You don't. These are...
Which I think it just happens.
Disposable commodities, people.
Yeah.
Brushes are not meant to hold on to forever. You paint with them. You get as much life out of them as you feel like is valuable. You can trim them down and use them for other things once they don't point anymore. But I have painted entire models at competition level with a brush with a worse tip than this as far as like being hooked. The hook doesn't matter at all. The hook is like this weird placebo that makes people think they have a bad brush. And I'm like, no, it still paints fine.
Yeah, you did that chasing the point. It was a clip that we put on YouTube, which I think was really helpful for me. Just as, you think that you have to paint with the very, very tip of your brush when you get it all rounded, but you have a tip, a chisel when you have it on that kind of flat.
Yeah, and that's a really good thing to talk about too right now with the question, the way it was posed, is that, remember, and that video that Gabe is talking about called Chasing the Tip is a fantastic video that describes how I paint and how I would suggest. There's not too many rules that I say are, what would we call them? Like enforceable rules that I would say, if you're not doing this, you are causing yourself problems. Because it's art, right? So it's kind of like controlled chaos. Whatever you find comfort in and that delivers a good end product in the session where you're painting is the right thing for you. So don't let people tell you, hey, you're doing it wrong. But when I do come up with things that I'm like, hey, if you would like help doing something more right, here's one. And it's making sure that when you have a brush that doesn't feel like it's giving you a good tip, once you've started painting with a brush, you're applying pressure, right? So I started with a nice tip, right? Like this. And then as I start to paint, it'll start to flatten out because I put pressure. And a lot of people use a very heavy hand. So you might put a lot of pressure like this and you see the tip splits. So now it's no longer a sharp tip, it's flat. But if I rotate it 90 degrees, I get the sharpest tip you'll ever have on that brush, right? Because it's turned it into a chisel. And so now I've got this ultra sharp tip. Now you go back in and you do your really fine line, not painting with the tip like a pen or a pencil, right? It's hard to show. Not painting with the tip, but painting with the edge of the brush, right? Like this. So I'm painting with this part of the brush, right? And it's on this really knife edge. So imagine taking a butter knife and putting paint along the serrated edge and painting like that. That's what you're doing. But the more strokes you make, the more that then flattens out, right? And gives you the loss of the point. Now you rotate it 90 degrees. So you're always chasing the point. You pull a few brush strokes depending on how heavy your hand is. I can do 50 this way before it flattens out because I have a very light pressure when I'm doing stuff like what we're doing on this Mech. But if I'm doing something heavy, doing big thick lines, then I might get 3 or 4 before it starts to flatten out, and I'll see the painted line on the model get thicker than I like it, an edge or whatever. And then I do one line, maybe it flattens out, then I rotate it and I get that real thin edge, and I go do my next one, and then I rotate it, and I'll just keep doing that. That will help you with deflecting and not creating that tip curl in the first place, because you're always changing the direction that the brush is hitting the model, and that's really what you want. Hi, Jen.
Hi.
We have a Jen.
How's it going?
You have to go to the post office?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, I loaded up my car as he pulled up. So much stuff.
Okay. Did we ask him why?
Well, so he drives up, and I'm out there, and he's like, "No one come Friday?"
Nope.
And I'm like, "No." And then I was like, "Wait a minute. How do you know that they?" Like, I just. I'm like, yeah, it was probably because it's you that didn't Friday.
Yeah.
So they are regular guys on vacation. I'm like, listen, I'm gonna start scheduling the appointments so that you guys then have to.
Yeah. You need to.
I did. I scheduled for the rest. So I'm gonna take the stuff that's in right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's already 3:30.
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
cow.
318.
So. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
So that should help with both those questions. How do you fix the curl, chase the tip, and delay the curl as long as possible so that your brush feels like it is in a usable state for longer? And then also for the person that asked, how do you keep your edge nice and crisp without getting paint on all those other areas, just using the side of the point rather than trying to paint with the point and shoving it into an area where you're, not being able to really get good dexterity to the forefront, right? But these are the things that you will notice come along with a little bit better brush. And, I'm not vying for you to go out and buy brand new expensive brushes. That's not what I'm saying. Just understand that how a brush draws and releases paint is a huge component of the quality of the brush. The less force it takes, the less bending of the bristles that it takes to let paint out in a reasonably consistent amount is what will define a great brush versus a mediocre one. Like, I'm barely putting any pressure on these guys at all. And I don't have a lot of paint on there. You see me, well, you may not, but I'm wiping most of the paint off on my thumb so I don't get a big blob, because that's another thing that when you come over and touch the model with the tip of the brush, if you let a whole big blob of material out, then that's going to maybe mess up, another area close to it on the model, or it's going to drip down, things like that. So be careful with that too.
Jason, do you find that you enjoy painting panels more, or kind of flatter, kind of rounder surfaces like skin or cloth?
I really don't care.
No?
I probably don't care. I like whatever the shape is. Each new shape, because of the way that I look at the model as a whole big grouping of different shapes, is kind of what gets me interested in painting it in the first place. Like if I'm looking at a model that is, like this guy, and most Battletech miniatures are very angular.
Yeah.
And so when I'm looking at this, I'm looking for stuff that's like, okay, in that angularity, is there enough interest? Is it all going the same direction? So it looks very blocky and checkerboard, because then I'm probably not as interested in it as if it has something that breaks it up, like some angles in the chest, the big, circles for the guns, things like that, right? So this guy's got enough variation that makes it to where I feel like, even though it's a filthy clan mech. But yeah, I don't know that I care. There are some times where I'll look at a shape and I'll be like, oh, that's going to be a real pain to paint. And so that might keep me from being super interested in a particular model. Those kind of design choices are tough sometimes. I don't envy sculptors in that, because a lot of times the sculptor may not know anything about painting. And so in miniature specifically, because they're not just game board pieces, right? They have to appeal to a whole group of artists that want to paint them. Sometimes there are sculptors that give you something that, while it is exactly what they thought of in their mind, is not real conducive to wanting to paint.
Tony asked, Jason, if someone sent you a 3D print of Jay the Younger in the 130mm base size, would you paint it on stream?
Of Baby J?
You have a 3D printed model of Baby J?
Somebody sculpted Baby J? This in itself is great. You're asking me if I would paint Baby J. I don't even know why there's hesitation there. I would definitely paint Baby J.
Did you want to show chat your new toy?
It's over on Jen's desk.
Okay.
I gave it to her because I had so much fun popping boxes with it. I took it. I was thinking to myself, like, okay, so Christopher got me this stamp that says the Monument Seal of Approval, and it has me like that. So we're going to make a sticker of it too, right? But I never would use a stamp for anything. I don't do anything in paper. So I was like, oh, but we do every order over there. This would be fun over there if they could like stamp it on random orders. And then I was like, what about on the box? So I went around, bang, 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 until I realized I was probably going to crush people's stuff. So if you get something crushed in your monument order, it wasn't me. Unless, of course, it has the seal of approval stamp on it, and then it was me. 100%.
Y'all Sony said, "Oh, I don't have one. I'm just asking if it would be a thing so that someone else can create it. I'm just an idea man."
Wait a minute. That's the laziest form of marketing ever. Like, I just come up with the cool things. I don't actually know how to make them happen. I thought you were my hero for a second.
Extreme says, "I need chibi models of the whole stream team."
That would be hilarious.
That would be very funny.
This tells me we need to make a game that somehow incorporates Monument Hobby's crew as the main characters in this whole movie scenario.
Did you mention said there are Warhammer Space Marine heads of Jen and Jason?
Yes, this is true. Not too long back, I found the sprue with mine and Jen. I found them all. They weren't printed great. So there was only one of mine that was actually really good. It was kind of an AdMech one with a fake eye.
That's awesome.
So that was pretty neat, but I never got around to putting it on a model. Need to get like a cool Primaris captain or something.
Ghost Hunter said I would main the Fisher clan in a stream game.
There you go. That'd be awesome. Shannon and I aren't talking.
True. She left a very rude note on Jason's desk this
She's
morning.
just a very rude person. I was giving her grief last week because of her hockey team, and then her freaking team has the gall to go and win. So on my desk this morning were Edmonton Oilers colors in Pro-Acryl bottles. I was like, why are there blue, orange, and white colors on my desk? And Gabe was like, what are those colors? I said, blue, orange, and white. Took me a minute. I'd already talked to Shannon about her team winning and told her I didn't want to talk to her. Not allowed to talk to me today. That's what I told her when I walked in the door.
Actually, she is an Oilers fan.
Yep. She likes Edmonton for some reason.
This is Shannon, my mother. She likes it because that's where she grew up.
Not an excuse.
She grew up when Wayne Gretzky was playing for them. I mean, if in my hometown, somebody like Wayne Gretzky was playing for the team that's for my hometown, I'd probably like them too.
Even when you have the amazing Coyotes?
That's funny.
Oh, sorry, we don't even have them anymore.
No.
They were so amazing they moved to Utah.
Yep. They do now. Utah now has a hockey team. They've finalized their name? Are they just the Utah Coyotes? Are they changing their logo or anything?
What were the funny ones they got? They were the Stormin' Mormons. They had so many funny ones. Oh my God. They had one that was just, it was like a fake, the jersey was a fake white work shirt with a tie. It was so good. It was all done in good jest. It was all done by a guy in Salt Lake City.
That's fun.
That was all pretty funny.
That's hilarious.
Malev, your hockey team, the Utah Soakers. Let's not take pot shots at Utah because of a hockey. Who was taking pot shots at Utah? I love Utah.
Mikey was.
Oh, Mike, what'd you say?
I think gross. It's Utah.
Oh, no, no offense, people from Utah, but gross you are. Yeah, they are moving the Phoenix team or the Arizona team up there.
Yeah. Yep. All because they decided they didn't want to build them a new stadium, and probably more, but
They didn't want to be here.
Yeah.
The ownership group had been trying to not be here for a long time. They drew up a stadium in Scottsdale that there was no way any city involved was going to fork up dough for. This thing was stupid.
Yeah.
When you saw the pictures of it, you're like, okay, they don't want to be here. Because I guarantee when they go to Utah, they're not getting that kind of stadium.
Yeah. I thought there was something, too, along the lines of there was a big, like, having to do with traffic over by the stadium that they were wanting to put it at first. Was like they got denied, so it wasn't getting rebuilt or something. Maybe not.
I don't know. I mean, they couldn't really be in a better spot, that big sports complex out there with a football team, right?
Yeah, I think that was it. It was a perfect spot to have it out there, but that freeway complained about, like, people in that area petitioned or something against it because of the traffic that it causes. It was something like that.
Where it is now?
Out in the sports, because they shut it down a while ago, and I think they were planning on building a new one or redoing it, and then it got ex-nayed or something.
Oh, I don't know. Every time we went out there, it's an amazing stadium. I've always hated that sports clubs do if you can't afford to build us a new stadium, we're leaving.
Yeah.
You know, it's like if you can't find a way to be profitable enough to build your own damn stadium, like every other business out there, then we don't probably need you. You know?
Right.
They have too much leverage for all the wrong reasons, sports teams.
Glendale made more money for monster trucks and motocross than they did with the hockey team. I can see that.
Monster trucks? Like everything else that the stadium was used for?
That's funny.
The RV show? I can see that.
Okay, A Vector, gotta sleep. Question before I go. Since I got my first Pro Acrylic paints from Baby J at the Games Expo in the UK. Woohoo!
Nice.
The dude is a legend. Spent like an hour showing me the paints. There's a white vertical stripe on the label. Is it meant to be used as a color sample for the paint? You're talking about the
on the back?
The white kind of space on the back? I think so. What's it for?
You asking me?
Yeah.
It was just for future proofing the label.
Okay.
Like if we ever had to add any data or numerics for export or something, we just wanted a spot on the label that we could put like fix another label when we started shipping exporting overseas. If they had any props that we had to follow or in the EU or anything,
Nice.
we had to get little clear labels. We could stick it on there and be easy to see to make them in just black ink. So
yeah, we've used it for the signature artist.
Yeah, we used it for the signature artist. Once we knew that we didn't have to use it for anything else, it just kind of stayed.
Yeah. But you could definitely put a little stripe of paint on there if you want.
Do anything you want to with it. Well, within reason.
Yeah.
We cannot be held liable for your bad decisions.
NatureBench just said, if you ship it to California, you have to have the cancer warning because everything causes cancer in California.
Being in California causes cancer.
Okra, an airbrush question. I have an airbrush that will not spray out paint. Air comes through fine, but it will not output paint. It has been broken down and cleaned, even changed the needle and nozzle, and it will not spray paint.
You've changed the needle and the nozzle.
And cleaned it out.
And it will not spray paint. You've got a blockage from the cup to the nozzle. In that case, air doesn't come out of the same area, so that's why you're able to get air. But the grab the airbrush real quick. So on an airbrush, you've got obviously the nozzle cap, whatever type airbrush you have, has got a cap that goes around the nozzle like this, right? If that doesn't seal, that can cause problems because the air, all airbrushes will look a little bit different, but you see how there's those little dark spots around the circle there? There's 1, 2, should be like 5, I think, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 little dots around the nozzle. That's where the air comes through. So the air comes up through the valve body and around the paint chamber. So air doesn't go down there, right? Air goes in a channel around that and then comes out along the side. And then when you pull the needle back, right? Whenever I pull the needle back and this hole around the needle opens up in the nozzle, then the air that's rushing around the nozzle siphons paint out of there. So it's suction based, right? So the air starts back here and comes around all of this stuff. And as it goes and shoots around the needle, right, it pulls all the paint that's in the nozzle out around the needle. So obviously the more you have the needle pulled back, the more paint can come through the hole in the nozzle, and that air suctions it out, okay? So if you're getting air, it means all that's good, which it should be. There shouldn't be any reason for paint to clog up the air channels unless you have done something severely wrong. But what it means is that even when you're pulling your needle back, there's still no paint being able to be pulled through because there's constriction someplace. It can be down inside the channel where the cup is, right? It's going to be somewhere from here where the cup enters into the needle chase and forward, right? Because paint back here doesn't matter for air. But paint back here means your needle won't move as well because it'll gum up the needle. But paint forward can constrict, start blocking the channel down to a point to where there's not enough paint that can get through. So you should still get a little bit, but if you're not getting any, then it's just too constricted. So you would take your nozzle off, take your needle out, take your nozzle off, and clean that whole channel out and make sure that all of that's working correctly. And make sure that this piece right here is sealing when you close it, right? That when this goes on, right, it's sealing properly, right? Because if you're pulling the needle back and you're feeling air at this front end, then it's coming through the hole properly, which is fine. But yeah, you gotta... Oh yeah, and making sure your needle is actually moving. It could be so gummed up back here that even though you're able to push and pull the trigger, the needle might not actually be moving. See, the chuck is actually moving. You got to make sure. Sometimes the chuck will move if it's not tightened down enough. The chuck can move, but watch this. I'll press in on the needle. The chuck can still move, but the needle doesn't move.
Mm-hmm. That happens to me when mine gets gummed up. The chuck, it'll be really hard to pull, and then the chuck will just slide.
It'll slide on the body of the needle, because and the needle won't move.
So stuck. Yeah.
Yeah. It concerns me that you said you changed the nozzle and the needle, but that could still mean that you have gummed up paint back here. Like where you see the needle in the channel there, there's a spot right behind there where there's an O-ring that keeps paint and air and everything from going backwards into the valve, right? And paint can build up there to the point to where when you pull, the needle won't go through there. Like if you loosen this, you should be able to pull the needle out like this very, very easily. If at any point it hangs up, it will generally be hanging up right here, just behind the cup where that O-ring is, that seal. So yeah, check all those.
Backflushing can cause issues back there. Yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't backflush. If you do it, just do it very quickly. and not repeatedly. But there shouldn't be a need for that. It can, if you feel like you have like little chunks of paint up in there, it could like dislodge them and push them back, but it'll do it in one quick like bubble and then dump. Don't run it like a lot of people put their finger over it and pull it back and let it cycle through there. Don't do that. You're much better off if you want to do something like that. Take the, I don't really have a good example of this, but I can maybe do it in here. Probably not though. You would take this and submerge it to where everything in the cup is getting water. So if I had this a little bit higher, here, I'll show you. Pour some water out of this. If you feel like you really need to back flush, you can create a fully enclosed system with water, right? By going in and putting this in there like that, and then like submerging the cup, and then doing this, right? So that kind of has the same benefit, but it allows all of the water and everything to cycle through the cup and the nozzle, as opposed to pushing back here. If I put liquid in the cup, close my finger over it, and pull the trigger, right, there's going to be an equal amount of back pressure here, and well, not here, here's the most, but it's going, the path of least resistance might become the seal, as well as trying to get through the liquid here, right? So you don't want to be doing this for long. You can pulse it, like put your finger over it, pull the trigger real quick, and then be done, then dump it. Probably ought to run clean water through this now, huh?
Probably. So you got a couple
I'm sitting here
notes.
thinking I just ran it through my paint cup, which is not the cleanest water on the planet.
No.
As we can see. This is my paint cup. That's what I paint with. Why my models all look so delicious.
It's
I paint with the dirtiest
seasoned.
swamp water you've ever seen.
You know when you get a nice cast iron and you just like season
It's
it
flavored.
over time? That's what you got to do with your paint cups.
It's flavored.
You got to season those paint cups.
I've had very well-known artists ask me why in the world I have my paint cup so dirty. They'd be like, "You want me to go clean out your paint water?" I'm like, "No, hell no. That's my project water." They just don't get it. Slowly but surely working out line work on everything. For these initial stages, I will line stuff that might not normally get lined because I'm thinking of, when I put a wash on it, all this will be darker. Now, I may determine not to put a wash on it. That's kind of all up in the air. But
one thing I've been really wrestling with as I paint is the difference between lighting and also the like used material and the way that it will look lighter. So like leather, for example, like bent leather, whereas lighting will affect the color, but also just the fact of the material being bent will produce a lighter color. That's been really interesting for me, but also very difficult.
you mean something that's oxidized and becomes less saturated in color?
Yeah, or even just like because not necessarily oxidized, but just like over time, or even just like when you bend, like if you take a piece of plastic and you bend it, that bend is going to create a lighter color.
Sure.
So stuff like that.
Well, the first thing you got to remember is that there's always, until you're painting with white or black, there's always a lighter or darker color. So you can consistently get highlights, even on the brightest color, until you've made it white, which is why we say, hey, if you're painting white, don't use white. Does that make sense?
Because you can't go any higher than that.
What's that?
Because you can't go higher than that.
Right. You can't go any higher than the value of white. There's nothing that's going to be brighter that's going to show highlights. So if you use white to paint your stormtroopers, you're stuck. You won't get any contrast out of them because you can't go any brighter than white to highlight that color. So like here I'm using bright neutral gray mixed with neutral gray rather than white to, edge these panels. But so if I were doing a faded leather, right? So even the darkest brown leather, wherever that belt gets, pressure on it, bent, whatever, it'll go to like almost a cream color, right? Because it goes to like the hide color, the true hide, bleached hide. And so that you can still highlight that though, because you could go to white, right? So you just always want to look at the fact that even your brighter colors need to have space to be highlighted.
Right.
So don't push them to white, right? Always have white as your last resort highlight. And then you can still keep contrast relative to the area it's on. So like that same brown belt, do we have anything good that we've painted here recently?
Yeah, so the big thing is when maybe the part of the belt that's frayed or starting to be like kind of wear is not necessarily in a spot where there would be a highlight, but I do have highlights from light.
Well, so look at the color of the feathers around his eye.
Yeah.
Right? I've got darker feathers moving to lighter feathers, but I retain the contrast because even the lighter feathers have a highlight to them.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
That's the same thing you do with the leather, right?
Right.
It's all going to wind up having a highlight and a shadow. Everything does.
Yeah.
That's in the light.
Yeah.
Right? So regardless of how intense the highlight is, that's where the whole material focus and the whole lighting thing really comes into play and throws people off. We tend to think that everything needs to have the same brightness of highlight. Well, that's not true because brighter things have brighter highlights, or more reflective things have brighter highlights, and less reflective things have duller, dimmer highlights, right? So you're always, even on the same piece, that same piece of leather that might be dull brown, but have a shine on a spot where it's been worn, right? Yeah. Because like the edge of a leather belt that's rubbed up against you or your clothing polishes itself, right? Right. And so it gets shiny along the edges, even though it's dull on the face. So the face won't highlight as bright versus the color that it is. So if it's a dark brown, you may only highlight it with a mid-brown value. But the edge may go up to cream or ivory because it looks shinier, right? If you're trying to get that kind of detail going. But it's all on the same piece. Right. So a lot of people make the mistake of, well, if I'm going to highlight the top edge this bright color, I got to highlight it all that bright color. And then it looks very clown suit, or we call it Tron because it's like dark with neon outlines and things like that. It's the old heavy metal way of painting. Yeah. Because you would notice like on Space Marines, the bottom of the knee pad would be just as bright as the top of the knee pad because they just kind of outlined everything. Every panel was outlined all the way around, and that's what they did. It looks like Tron. So instead of doing that, always work towards the top and highlight everything. Just be judging your highlight based on the base color of that thing. Don't go bright just because that is what a highlight is supposed to be. Use a brighter version of what color the thing is, but realize you don't have to go super bright.
Yeah. Nodens asks, I have a question about paint itself. I've been hearing both ways as to if you should change your rinse water after using metallics. I've also heard people say that you should even give metallics their own brush. What are your thoughts?
We don't do the own brush thing because brushes nowadays and the quality of the metallics that we're using are such that I think you can get away with using a standard brush. I would not use a sable for my metallics, although Baby J does. That's just a lingering thing for me because metallics being thicker will gum up paint in the ferrule quicker, and I just still am a guy that doesn't want to see my sables get all gummed up. So I wouldn't do it with sables, but you could. Paint water, I agree with changing out your paint water if you do a whole bunch of heavy metallic work because you will get the flake in there, and it can make all of the other paints you paint with have a weird sheen to them. So that's the one time I will say that you probably ought not continue with your project cup is if I'm doing a lot of metallics. I'll go rinse it out.
Mathis asked, hi, Jason, how's it going?
Hey, Math. I'm doing a billion panel edges rather than dry brushing for some unknown reason. Because I said I was going to spend time making this guy look like a project, show you what you can actually do with Battletech minis, not just blast through it. These models are super relevant when it comes to the speed painting mentality. You know, put a couple of base coats down, hit them with a dry brush and a wash, and you've got a whole army in no time because of all of the dramatic edges and stuff that they've got. The sculpts are generally okay. Sometimes the molds are not great because it's PVC, so some of the edges get lost and a little soft. But by and large, these are great minis. I love Battletech, so you won't hear me complaining too much. But they also lend themselves to spending some time on, get a really good looking squad, because you're only ever really playing with 4 or 5 mechs. If you're playing classic, more you can play with more if you're playing Alpha Strike, but why would you play that game?
You played your first game of Alpha Strike at Adepticon.
Yeah,
right?
I was waiting for somebody to get mad at me for that. I played my first game Alpha Strike at Adepticon.
Nutrimentia, he actually drinks it at the end of stream. Every stream. Just pounds it.
It's part of my circus act.
Yeah. It's never in front of the camera. It's like a, you know, when you finish with a workout, throw a couple get the energy again. It's like that. You finish a painting session.
You know when you're done beating your enemies and you eat their carcasses?
Oh my gosh. Protein shake. Protein. WR said, sure.
I just top it off, Nutrimentia. Believe it or not, I just top it off. Again, you know, I have for years considered my paint cup to be my project neutral. It is a color in the palette that I'm painting with at a certain point. And that may seem really weird, but I like that. I learned that from an oil painter who had the dirtiest tin of turpentine I had ever seen. And when I asked him why he never cleaned it, he said, well, he cleans it every big project. He did really big canvases. And so he cleaned it out after every project, but it would have a little bit of the pigment residue from every color he had used on that canvas. And so I don't remember what term he said, but for me, I started calling it my project neutral, is that as I'm painting, like right now we're just using, this is all the stuff that is from this model, right? So you can see that
Pretty neutral.
Last time I changed this was when we started painting the chrome. Now, we may have touched some other models because of the way we paint around here, but by and large, the colors that make up this, other than the grays we're using today, are the colors in here. And so you can see right away that this is a version that would, if I could use this as a wash and put it on here, it would draw all those colors together because it has some of all of them in it. So it doesn't interrupt what I'm painting. It does infuse, however much of a placebo it may be, it does infuse every color because the water in the brush that's diluting all of my paint is this dirty color. And that means that all of my colors are getting altered, even microscopically, by this, which in my mind makes my palette easier to blend with and things of that nature. It isn't that big of a deal. The amount of pigment that's in here is well, it can be a lot depending on if you put a tremendous amount of paint on your brush and then wash it off in here. I don't do that. So it's really not that much. You know, like if I put my finger in it, it isn't going to give you a color. It still looks clear, right? So it's not over the top crazy, but there's no need for this to be clean is really the goal, right? Being able to have a little bit of all of the colors in every color that I paint with, to me, makes sense. Mother color, yeah, but not in that sense of being actively painting with a color on your palette. But I get it, you know, same kind of thought.
It is 3:53. Crazy.
I know I'm not going to leave those gray. Those will be black, so I'm not going to bother painting those. These gun manifolds will be non-metallic black or gunmetal or something like that, I think.
How often do you get new water? Only for each new paint job?
Each new big project that I start. So I should have changed it for this. But I've still got that other one going, and this one's grays, so who cares?
Y'all Sony asks, which brand of water should I buy for painting with Pro-Acryl? And does sparkling water help the paint go from matte to satin?
So if you're using sparkling water in your paint jobs, we need to have words.
What would that do?
I don't even know. Effervescence.
Be kind of fun.
Yeah, let's not do that. Tap water. Good old dirty ass tap water.
Yo, Sonny, you put it in chat. I'm gonna make sure he knows you said it.
What's that?
Just he said that was a real question to ask Jason.
Too late. We're already down that road, Yar. You already got to back that one up. You got to own it. Nah, just dirty old tap water. We have Arizona tap water here. It's garbage.
Our water is so bad.
It's not Flint, Michigan bad, but I bet we're up there.
Sparkling water is how you make plaid? Yes. Sparkling water is for metallics. I have to try this now.
No.
I want to try it.
No. Do not. Do not.
I wonder if it would like sparkle on the model. Give it
Oh yes, definitely, because that's exactly what sparkling water does. Is glow.
No, not like that. Like I wonder if it would. You know, like when you like, it's got all the bubbles, right? Like it's got all the air in it. Would it like create a cool paint effect? You know, like you do. I did a pottery class in high school. You'd take bubbles and you do the bubble thing around the pottery, you know, and the bubbles would pop.
The bubbles would pop and it would leave
and make that cool look. I know it wouldn't do that because you're not actually putting bubbles, but I wonder what it would do. Maybe it wouldn't do anything. Maybe it would be super anticlimactic.
Yeah, I think you're on to that part of it being what you'd get.
Yeah. Division Ring said we need to have words like genius, revolutionary, and replacing Jason in R&D. Listen, guys, if we replace Jason in R&D, there would be no new things.
Well, there'd be new things.
There'd be new things, but
there'd be new things for a limited time only.
Guys, we'll release our new product, Arizona sparkling water. For all your sparkling painting needs.
Make your paint sparkle.
You make your paint sparkly. You know, yeah.
Like Angel Heraldez really embraced that with his Spanish water, right? Because somebody was like, there's something in the water in Spain that makes you guys all paint better. So he has this thing that's just tap water that he calls Spanish water. Maybe he puts something in it. Maybe he puts a little flow improver in it.
Question: any recommendation for layering up white, like a white cloak or something like that? Almost always looks too dark and gray, or just all white with no contrast.
So that was what we were talking about earlier. This workup that I'm doing here is exactly what I would do for white. I just wouldn't be as timid with the bright neutral gray like I am now, right? The bright neutral gray as we're putting it on right now is only a highlight color. I would use the bright neutral gray, and this is even toned down with neutral gray in it. So this isn't even full vibrancy bright neutral gray yet. I still have a layer to highlight above this using bright neutral gray.
You get a raid?
What?
A raid? Let's see if I can find it.
Welcome, Raiders. Did we miss you?
Where's the thing? Oh, Hobby Corner. Thank you for the raid, Hobby Corner.
Welcome.
Good evening. Painting some BattleTech.
Just got started on this guy. But yeah, so for white, the key is like, you know, like I did these fun things. It was on the bold sense of humor, right? I wanted him to have white on his tennis shoes and his gloves, right? And so that's just various grays, a little bit of filter of warm gray, and then whites over the top of that, so that the white is the highlight for what you're trying to do, rather than the white being the color you start with. The color you start with is the same, like dark neutral grays, and then you just highlight with the whites, right? The eye is easy to fool in that regard, you can look and say that something is white when it doesn't have any white on it, right? Like, what color is his cloak? Right? It's a dirty white cloak. But there's no white on that at all. That's all just grays up to bright neutral gray. If I take white and put it next to it, look how not white that is, right? But because it's one of the highest value things on the model, other than the non-metallic steel, right? So the non-metallic colors go up to the brightest shine because that's what they do. But you can tell that out of fabric, this is white fabric. And so it allows you to do something like dirty stormtroopers, dirty white cloak on the lion, you know, whatever you're doing, and you get away with it. If the eye sees white, you haven't used any white at all. You know, much to the contrary, you still have a lot of ability to move to even brighter colors. If I wanted to make it satin and shiny, then I still have a lot of space to move. But there's a nuance to it that allows you to see it as white. All this down here, still no white.
Trip Hill, we don't have a full video tutorial, but we do have a short that is painting white armor. Jordan did one with a clone trooper from Shatterpoint. Yeah. That was
technically we could still push this guy to look white.
Yeah. Like
dirty white. If we just do like a glaze of bright neutral gray across those top panels. Now he's supposed to be gray, but
yes, Trip. We have we've been mulling over some ideas to kind of a lot of these build up questions to have a place that people can go to see all those very easily. So coming soon.
Hobby Corner, don't paint with black. I mean, you paint with black a lot more than you paint with white. Black is a lot more of a mixer. Well, they're both great mixers, right, for tints, tones, and shades. You'll use a lot more black on the model specifically for shadowing, recesses, depending on if you're doing fantasy or sci-fi. On sci-fi, you'll use a lot of black for plastics and things like that. You won't highlight it up very much because you don't have to, and you start losing the feel of black very quickly. But I feel like white is one of those that is 80-90% a mixer, and maybe 5-10% a color you use on its own. You filter with it a lot to lighten the overall feel of colors by thinning it down, glazing with it. But it's rare that I use white for more than just, except on something big and cartoony like that other guy. But it's rare that I would use white for anything more. Like, I don't even think. Yeah, we haven't used any white on him. Not even as a mixer for anything. We could still go back and use white to do the punch of the shine on the non-metallic silver shoulder plates. But we haven't used any white, not even for the shine on the copper mace. Nothing. Right?
Hobby Corner, you met Jordan at UK Games Expo on Friday?
I lie. I think we used a little speck of white on the highlight here on that chalice on his hip. But
Jordan is a pretty cool guy.
Not much. White's just not a color that I use a whole lot. Black, on the other hand, black I've used all over this model, right? To mix in with other colors, to start as a base for the toenails and the fingernails, as a shader, things like that. So black, I feel like, is a more prevalent color in painting. There's some people that say you shouldn't use black or white because they're not colors that, are evident in nature, but that's kind of a weird argument to use. I don't know that I would paint something strictly black, but there's a lot of things that now with man involved, there's lots of pure black. X-Ray, take it easy. Max Salty, speaking of tutorials, are there any you would recommend for new painters? You're curious about learning thinning, brush control, and for proof that the models everyone paints aren't 200% bigger than the ones tabletop are. I don't have huge hands. We paint really small stuff, and then we paint really big stuff too. But yeah, I love that. That's pretty good. Like, for demo purposes and tutorials, everybody's painting life-size models. Take it easy, X-Rin. Hunchback, he does. He's got a hunch. He's got a panther, an oversized panther head, an awesome arm. It's made by the factory that made the Awesome and the Hauptmann. We found out in reading the history behind it earlier. But yeah, I think that you know, for good videos, obviously Vince Venturella is always very good. You know, we have a ton of videos on our YouTube channel. We stream 5 days a week as a manufacturer, showing you ways to use paint in various methods. You can always ask questions here. Because we're live, we can kind of stop and show you. We showed people how to work on the airbrush today. So our goal is never to really paint and finish projects on here. We're just here to help you gain more confidence in whatever it is that you're doing with your painting. So there's always room for asking questions to us here. So feel free to drop by. We are about to close up shop. So I got a lot of the front side done, question mark. I still have 5 million panels I have to highlight on the butt of this guy and up around the shoulders. I didn't do the gun or any of that. And then once we're done doing all of this highlight work, I will go through and paint the camouflage on him, and then we'll have to highlight him again. So, huzzah. What did you miss, Zazin? All of it. It turns out you missed all of it today. But yeah, Sapo's got it too. Our Discord is filled with tons of good inspiration, great tutorials just coming in from asking other people how they did what they did in their pictures. Great community, over 4,000 artists over on our Discord that are from beginner to rarefied air artists. So you've got everybody in between that can help you answer questions, give you good pointers, tell you how they do it. You know, everybody kind of attacks it with the same, what would we say, friendly nature, you know, and that nobody's telling you what 100% is. They'll give you a lot of ideas that you can go see what works for you. But there's Gabe with all the links.
Yeah.
So go check it out. Our store where you can buy yourself some amazing Pro Acryl paints. This is what keeps all the wonderful crew around here alive. The fact that you guys support our craziness. Go try them out. I think you'll find we have the best hobby products around. You'll enjoy painting with them for sure. And do, like I said, remember that we stream 5 days a week, Monday through Friday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Right now, that's the same as Pacific, but just check out whatever time it is in Phoenix, Arizona. If it's 2 p.m., get your butt over here. We'd love to see you here more often. And then the Discord 24/7 for great painting and shenanigans. And then also check out the FLGS locator on the website so you can see if there's a store near you that carries our stuff, because it's always better to support local. Please do. Those guys do all the hard work. So stick around. We're going to find somebody to raid. Show some love in the chat we wind up in. It's free to hit that follow button. And we will catch you back here tomorrow. Adios, gang.
Bye.